Welcome in to Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Happy to have you with us. On today's show, we have the latest Seahawks news and rumors, those involving Daron Payne as well as Geno Smith. We will get to all of that and more in just a moment. We will start out with discussing Daron Payne. And the folks at 12th Man Rising, the Seahawks Fansided site, have named Daron Payne of the Washington Commanders as the Seahawks' top potential free agent target for this offseason. Payne, of course, had a good run with the Washington Commanders. Now a young defensive lineman, just really entering his prime, going into free agency, and a Seahawks team that struggled this past year up front. This could be a very nice marriage, but there's a few things that stand in the way from this happening. Let's see what Leval had to say about this possibility. The Seahawks need a lot of help along the interior of its defensive line. Some of the help needs to come from defensive tackles who can consistently stop the run, and some of that help needs to come from a nose guard or defensive tackle that can supply interior pass rush. Washington Commanders free agent defensive tackle Daron Payne can do both. But Payne won't be signed to an inexpensive contract, and it might be so high that it scares Seattle general manager John Schneider off. That said, if the Seahawks are able to find the money to bring Payne in, he could help transform a young and somewhat promising defense into one that is capable of winning games without much assistance from the offense. Payne is that good. The player profile on Daron Payne, a former first-round pick back in 2018 by Washington, was named by the Pro Football Writers Association to the all-rookie team in his first year in the National Football League. And you talk about a guy that's really just now starting to come into his own, as this past season he had a career high in sacks at 11 and a half. So you've already seen Daron Payne go through the development phase of some sorts, and now he's really starting to take off and could be an instant impact player for this Seattle Seahawks defense if they were to sign him. Got more on Daron Payne and what he could potentially bring to Seattle that we'll dive into, give you some numbers here in just one moment. Before we do, though, our pinned comment today, we're going to do things a little bit different. Here's what I want to do, folks. If you want the Seahawks to sign Daron Payne, then I need you to like today's video. Simple as that. Just hit that like button. If you don't want the Seahawks to sign Daron Payne and bring him into Seattle this offseason, then comment and tell me why you don't want Daron Payne. Let me know one way or the other. If you want Daron Payne, hit that like button. If not, then comment why you do not want them to sign Daron Payne. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get down there in the comment section, like the video, or comment and tell me why you would not want Daron Payne in Seattle. Now, here's the deal. The Seahawks need a lot of help when you look at this defensive line. An ongoing theme of the 2022 season was how much this defensive line struggled, in particular, with stopping the run. You look at the depth chart for Seattle at those defensive line positions, and you can see you have a couple players already going into free agency that you'll need to replace potentially or figure out what long-term deals you want to get done. But what you have there is just simply not good enough. This team is going to have to improve. They're going to have to make changes on that defensive line and find better options than the product that they put out there this past season. And obviously, this team needs some changes of some sorts, needs to find some help. When you look at the statistics, it backs it up of what we've been talking about, of the issues that arose with this defensive line and what they did this past year. Here were the PFF grades for the Seahawks in some very important categories with this defensive line. The overall grade, 64.7. Not anything to write home about. The run defense grade, 62. Here's where things were really piss poor. The tackling grade at 45, just horrendous. And a pass rush grade at 65.1. You bring in a guy like Daron Payne potentially, all of those numbers would drastically improve with what he would potentially bring to the table for this Seattle Seahawks team. More on this here in just a second. Before we do, today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code Seahawks125, you'll get a 125% deposit bonus. You put $100 down, get $125 to spend for free. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Odds are out already for Super Bowl 57 between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles early favorites. Not by much, though. Just a 2-point favorite over Kansas City. Expecting a high-scoring game here in about 2 weeks with the over-under at 49.5. You want to bet on this game, the NBA, college basketball, and more, you can do so now. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Look, I'm of the belief that Payne would immediately upgrade this group for Seattle, that it would be very quickly that we would see this group head the right direction. And if you look at these statistics for Daron Payne over the last 4 seasons, you can see how much of a step up that he took this past year. The tackle number was just a little bit higher than it was in 2021, but tackles for loss went from 6 to 18. Sacks went from 4.5 to an 11.5. We are just now starting to see Daron Payne really come into his own, and I got to tell you, it just gets me excited. I love the idea of bringing him potentially to this Seahawks team. Now, as Lee was talking about, we showed you at the very beginning of the show, what about the money and trying to make this all happen? When you look at the Seahawks situation when it comes to cap space and knowing that you have other guys that you still need to sign, and then your draft picks, of course, which you're going to have 9 of those, is there simply enough money to even think about Daron Payne? Well, listen to this. Per Pro Football Focus, subscription required, Payne's market value is an annual average salary over 5 seasons of $19,492,231. Seattle theoretically has the cap room of, at least for now, but if the Seahawks re-sign Geno Smith, there likely is no cap space for Payne. The question is, does Seattle want to fix its defense more or keeping a good quarterback? So that leaves the question then, at that point, based on what Lee Val is putting out there at this point, that you would basically have to choose between Daron Payne and Geno Smith in theory right now. So it's a tough question, but we ask the tough questions here on Seahawks Today. If you had to pick one to decide, are you going with Daron Payne or are you going with Geno Smith? You can only pick one. In theory, Seattle only has the money for one of the two at this point. Who are you going with, Payne or Geno Smith? Let me know in the comment section. Type DP for Daron Payne. Type GS for Geno Smith. Let me know which one you would rather have on this Seahawks roster in 2023. Folks, we are getting so close to 34,500 subscribers here on the channel. We are just 41 away. I think we can do that here on today's video, but we need your help to get there. Subscribe now for the latest Seattle Seahawks news and rumors, daily coverage here. We also do our live shows on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We're counting down to the draft, free agency, trades, and more. It's all in one place. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, this is the channel for you, the place to be. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Seahawks TV for more. All right, one final note before we go, real quick. Geno Smith has won not one, but 2 awards already for his 2022 season, as the Pro Football Writers Association has named Smith the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year and the Most Improved Player of the Year. And it puts him in some pretty elite category. Get this. Geno now joins John Kitna and Ryan Tannehill as the only players in NFL history to win both the Pro Football Association's Comeback Player of the Year and Most Improved Player of the Year awards. So big congrats to Geno Smith for getting both those honors. And you look back at the season he had, just a reminder of what he accomplished this past year. Led Seattle, obviously, to the playoffs, getting to the wild card round, losing to San Francisco, what was supposed to be a rebuilding year where many people thought Seattle was going to have one of the early draft picks of their own. Instead, turned it into a playoff team. 30 passing touchdowns this year. That was by far a career high for Geno Smith. And then also, I think the thing that probably surprised people the most was just how accurate Geno Smith was in taking care of the football, with a nice 69.8 completion percentage, which led the league close to 70%. And his passer rating was also a career high at 100.9, one of the best numbers in the NFL. And I know that I'm not a big fan of the Pro Bowl. I could care less about the Pro Bowl, but I'm happy for Geno that he'll get to take part, play some dodgeball or pickleball, whatever it may be this week. The main thing is that he's just getting recognized. And I hope he has a good time out in Vegas with the boys and has a good Pro Bowl visit, because that's the first of his career. A well-deserved honor. Great to see Geno recognized there. So get out those red pens. How would you grade what Geno did in 2022? Let me know in the comments section. Type A, B, C, D, or F. What do you think about Geno's year this past year? Of what all he did, what all he accomplished. How would you grade it? Let me know in the comments section below. As always, you can connect with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seattle Seahawks and those social media platforms. And I'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.